and welcome into another film review from MB. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin, our other co-host, John C. Walsh, and our other co-host is Anumeha. We're all here to talk about the Salman Khan film from 2015. It's Bajrangi Bhaijaan. I hope I've said that right. I probably haven't. You can snigger away in the background. I don't care. I did my best.
Bajrangi.
But I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan now, who's going to take us through this review experience.
And it's going to be an experience because I have got no notes. I have got no structure. I barely remember the names of the characters because really it was all about Shahida. And Pawan, who I was referring to as Bajrangi, because I think he went by that name by the end. They gave him the title. Yeah. I've got it in front of me as well, Stephen. Yeah. It's all right. Also, Rasika, I remember them. I'm talking crap. I remember the names. Obviously, I remember Chand because that's Nawazuddin Siddiqui, and I absolutely adore Nawazuddin. And we'll get on to that, just how important that character was in this film. Not often you wait until a good hour and 40 minutes, hour and 50 minutes into a film to introduce a character of that ilk with an actor of that stature. But they did it in this one, and I thought it worked because he delivered a powerful monologue at the end. I digress though. Getting into this, didn't know much about the film. Had a couple of recommendations in the community. I think Anumeha, you may have recommended it as well. Not entirely
sure. You try to blame Anumeha for the experience we went through watching this film?
No. Listen, I enjoyed the film. The experience of capturing the reaction for the film is entirely different. I'm going to do my level best to separate the reaction of the film and the actual artistic integrity of the film itself.
As I say, John,
two separate entities.
Always entirely. You just have to do your Jeff Lynne.
Yeah, exactly. So, separate the two.
Yeah.
Anumeha, where did you first discover this film? What was your sort of knowledge going into seeing this film? Was it just purely through the community recommending and you maybe looked it up and thought, yeah, that looks an interesting one? Did you have sort of knowing of this? Because obviously me and Stephen, much like before last week, we didn't know much about Laapataa ladies.
Yeah.
And again, obviously, and this week, similar sort of thing. We know of Salman Khan, but we've only really started watching him through the Tiger series. What was your sort of experience going into this film prior to watching it?
Yeah, John, definitely. Like Bajrangi Bhaijaan is a very different movie from the rest of the Salman Khan movies. Most of his movies are based on like the action sequences, the songs, and like the lead actress and actor dancing in the background dances and the background dancers dancing and all the.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that, definitely. Yeah, but I think this movie definitely brings out a very positive message to the audience of peace and harmony between both the nations, which we needed very much, and how the protagonist of the movie, Salman Khan, he is a very kind and humble man, and also he's shown as a very selfless man, which we can definitely learn from, because in this today's world, which I believe everybody is very self-centered and thinks about their own needs and priorities. But however, protagonist Salman Khan, he definitely puts out the message that we have to be selfless, and he's put his own needs, like his own financial needs, where he has to, like where he was saving money to buy the house, but he doesn't spend that money on the house, whereas he goes and helps out Munni to give that movie to that broker. And also he's a vegetarian, pure vegetarian, and he is
yeah.
But he takes Munni to the restaurant. So all those messages, to be that kind of selfless person, definitely we need to learn it from. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And this is
not
something
a big
we
fan
see.
of the songs, but the music is pretty good, pretty memorable. Still, the numbers like
The one about chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something about Salman. I tell you, I take my hat off to him. He's this big, imposing guy. I don't think he's very tall in terms of actual height, but in terms of screen presence, he's a big, imposing guy. Household name over in India. I think worldwide people know Salman Khan. Yeah. For him to have the sort of cojones to put himself in that position in front of a camera where he's doing dances like that, and where he's the butt of the joke at times. He's not afraid to look silly in front of the camera, and I can almost certainly, without knowing Tom Cruise and guys like that, say that the Western equivalent would not do that in front of a camera in a film. They are so far up their own backsides. They would never put themselves in a position where they look like a fool. Not that Salmon looks like a fool in this, but just foolish, doing a chicken dance and doing some of the things he does in these films. They wouldn't do it. No. So I've got nothing but respect for Salman Khan. And as we go through this review, I think it'll become more apparent just how important, well, for me anyway, watching it, I had that in my head anyway, but I don't know if you will agree, just how important Salman Khan is in this film, because he's acting alongside a young girl who's playing a mute.
Yeah.
And in the main, he's left to carry all the acting. Yeah. He's left to carry everything.
She's not given any dialogues in the movie. She has to mostly express through her eyes, and she does a very fantastic job and bringing out the pure innocence. And in the end, when she utters her first word, Bhaijaan, where I won't lie, I was honestly holding back my emotions. I was trying not hard to cry because I was too shy to cry in front of the camera. So yeah,
that was a great moment.
Yeah, that was a great scene. Yeah.
I predicted it kinda, but when it happened, it was still powerful. And what it showed you, the impact of this guy, she probably didn't know she definitely didn't know until they had that chance meeting in this sort of street or whatever, this little restaurant cafe. The impact that man had on her, that he actually brought her to speech. That's how powerful a figure he was in the story. Yeah. Born in 2008, I have to say, Harshali, I'm going to butcher this name, Harshali Malhotra.
Yeah.
I mean, that's putting her at, I'm going
to...
Yeah. My maths are absolutely terrible. When was this out? 2015? Yeah, she was 7. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Incredible performance. And to do that, like you said, Anumeha, with just facial expressions and physical acting, no real words. You've seen veteran actors struggle with that kind of stuff. So for a 7-year-old girl to do that was stunning in terms of performance. The story, though, very simplistic story, let's be honest. When you get to the meat and bones of the story, there's nothing hugely complex going on here. I mean, it's this girl, she's separated from her family. She chance encounter with Pawan. They come together. Obviously, there's a lot going on, as you mentioned, Anumeha, in terms of thematics. The message they're trying to convey to the audience is powerful and it's complex in many ways, but the actual story itself is rather simplistic for me. Just getting this girl back to her family and the trials and tribulations that they face try to get there. She can't communicate with them. She probably doesn't even truly know herself, the exact place she's from. Just try to, bit by bit, get that information out. What was your thought, Stephen, on the way that the story flowed? Did you agree with me that it was a pretty simplistic story, but it was well handled? Yeah. Sometimes the best stories are the simple stories. You don't have to have hugely complicated plots.
Yeah, there's no twists galore.
Yeah. It can be a simple story and it's got a powerful potent impact.
I thought the story initially, I think the first maybe 10, 15 minutes was a horrendous situation for the mother and the child to be in. When you've got your own kids, you kind of, I don't know what it is. It's obviously this separation thing, and it's a hard thing, but being put in that position, you think about it yourself. What would I be like if it was one of my 2 daughters? Being separated, it just doesn't bear thinking about. So, in terms of that, I mean, there had to be that point for the plot to go somewhere, and I don't think it was anything that I didn't see not coming, but not in a bad way. In terms of there was not any twists, there wasn't any turns that were quite shocking. I didn't think anyway.
Yeah.
And obviously the introduction to Salman Khan in this as well, and the musical number, which obviously you guys will not see in the watch along because obviously we have to cut it. But it's a weird way to introduce the sort of main guy to the story, I felt, in the musical, right? And maybe that's done in films we've just not seen, but I think that's probably the first time I've seen that. But it's when you're doing a watch along, it's quite difficult because you have to cut it, so you'll not see a reaction when we first see Salman Khan, or when we see him for the second time, that is. But I thought the story flowed well. I thought it was quite gripping as well, especially the train sequences, and then she gets off, helps that little lamb out of the ditch, and you can see where it's going. She's not getting back on this train. Where's it going to go? How's she going to get out of this? It was just a horrible predicament to be in. But it's one of those ones where you're like, I need to find out what's going to happen next.
But I tell you,
and you
man,
felt that way all along the story.
It goes back to what Anumeha said about the character, Shahida.
Yes,
She's a
definitely.
selfless
Like
character.
it is a very predictable movie, but definitely it is a must. It is a delight to watch. Like it is a full entertainment dose, just like other Salman Khan's movie.
Yeah, and the character, Shahida, helped the lamb. What an incredible human being. She's put herself in a horrible predicament, but she's helped that little animal, and I think that's just something that consistently shines for the character in this story. She's, like you said, Anumeha, selfless, proper human. I can't really think of another way to describe it.
You know, I was quite impressed with, in terms of the way they wrote the character, and they put her in a quite a position before the actual main sort of drama that went on, falling off the edge of that hill.
Yeah.
Because then you're thinking, that's right, she can't speak, she can't call for help. So this is kind of giving you a clue where this is going to go, you know, with that character.
I thought that was a nice setup.
Yeah.
You showed the character's sort of vulnerabilities. And obviously, as you said, when she's then lost in an alien country, alien landscape, no familiar faces, you just know the enormity of what faces the character. So I thought that was clever writing. If I had to have one criticism of the story, again, it's simplistic. I understand why they did it. And it's mostly for Indian audiences, so they're going to want to show the Indian side of things and maybe make them look like the good guys. Not saying they're not the good guys, by the way, but I'm not getting involved in geopolitical stuff between Pakistan and India. I've not got a clue about it. Don't want to know about it. I've got my own problems here. They probably want to present the sort of Indian family as the good guys. They're helping the Pakistani girl back to her family. But you don't see enough of the Pakistan side of the story. You don't ever really see her family and what they're doing to try and retrieve their kid. I mean, there's brief, I think, at the checkpoint, she tries to get through. After that, you don't really see her family. Unless I'm misremembering here, that would be my one criticism. They could have maybe flitted back and forth, but understand the sheer star power lies with Salman Khan, Kareena Kapoor, actors like that, and they're playing the sort of Indian side of things, so you're going to focus more on that. But not many criticisms with this story. I thought the story was simplistic. It flowed really well. It brilliantly brought out elements of the characters. I thought it was really well written. And I liked the way that they showcased it, mostly from the sort of perspective of Shahida. We were almost looking into this story through her eyes. We kind of had foreknowledge of where she was from, but not a huge amount of knowledge, which is kind of like a 7-year-old girl. She's probably knows roughly where she's from. She knows she's from Pakistan, but not the exact region. And as the story unravels, bit by bit, you start to get more clues. Yeah. You're learning with her and the other characters. The way they just unpeel the mystery.
The exposition in this film was excellent.
You mentioned that, Steve.
Yeah, I felt it was very organic, the way they did it. You know, because how does, obviously the Pawan character, how does he communicate with Shahida? How does he find out where she's from? And bit by bit, you know, we find out what her religion is. We find out that postcard
she's
that
not
has
vegetarian.
Yeah, she's not vegetarian. The postcard, obviously, from the countryside with the mountains, the crickets. Yeah, just all those little bits. You know, it just unfolded very naturally. You know, and I just thought that's genius, the way they've done this.
Did you like that, Anumeha? Did you like, in fact, do you agree that the perspective of the story was very much from Shahida's eyes? Little girl, and the rest of the characters don't really know what's going on with her. They're trying to unravel the mystery of where she's from, what's going on with her, and how to get her back to her family. And we're almost living through her eyes vicariously through this story and learning bit by bit what's happening as each mystery gets unpeeled and we discover more about the character and get closer to taking her back to her family. Do you agree that that's the way that they framed the story? Maybe you've got a different viewpoint, I don't know. And did you like the way that they told the story through almost the perspective of this little girl? I don't know if you agree.
I lost you in the audio wasn't there in the end. Sorry.
Yeah, it just says you may not agree.
I agree.
Do you agree? Good, thank God. I'm not looking. I'm notorious for looking too deep into things, so I need to be checked at times. So I'm glad you agree. Did you have any thought? I don't know if you've got any thoughts on it. That's probably the last we'll talk about the story.
Sorry, I think I'm losing the audio and just audio cracking up in between.
That's
Sorry
absolutely
about
fine.
that.
With the other side of the world, that's it. People will have to understand that we're speaking literally from opposite ends of Earth, so they'll have to deal with the technical warts and all. Maybe moving on though from the story, maybe just the pacing. Did you have any thoughts on the way this was paced? It's what, 2.5 hours long? 2 hours, 28 minutes, I want to say, roughly, something like that, the running time. I think they say it's 2 hours and 43, but I think it's a little bit shorter than that in actuality. Any thoughts on the way this movie paced? I mean, I thought it was pretty quick. I don't feel like it felt like a nigh on 3 hour long movie. There was times when we were watching it where it was maybe getting on a bit, but in the main I thought it flowed pretty well. This film, either of you can come in and maybe share your thoughts on the pacing if you've got any thoughts on it whatsoever.
I think it flowed just like a train, really. It just chugged along, really. It didn't really pick up pace. It didn't really slow down. It just went along at a nice pace in terms of the story. But I think that's the sort of way that it was meant to be, because it's almost like a detective story in a sense that the Salman Khan character has to try and figure this problem out, and where is this kid from, and does the kid have parents? Is the kid from India? We just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that, you know, he's took that responsibility on was very intriguing, and it kind of it sort of added to his character, and it sort of gave you a clue to what kind of person he was. And I know, obviously, you touched on it at the start there, Anumeha, you know, the kind of character Pawan was. Yeah. But I just felt that, you know, he could have just palmed this kid off to the police and moved on with his life, but he didn't, you know, and I felt just that story unfolding, I mean, I thought just the story went along at a nice pace in that sense, because I think, John, you touched on it with obviously the Shahida character. She was the master of ceremonies. She was in every scene, and we were looking at the story through her eyes, so it had to be seen from that sort of perspective, and that affects obviously the pacing of the story as well.
But obviously,
yeah, definitely, it's a bit long for me. I believe 2 hours 45 minutes or 2 hours 20 minutes what we watched. I think I really enjoy movies which are like 1.5 hour, 2 hours movie. But I think the second half of the movie, the pace starts, because first half is not much. I think it's just about him figuring out that she's a Muslim girl from Pakistan and everything, and she's getting lost. But second half of the movie, where he crosses the border and everything, and I think that part is where the movie starts picking up the pace, and where the characters are introduced: Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Om Puri as the Molana, and everything. Yeah, so.
No, I would agree with that. I think it certainly does pick up a bit near the end, certainly the last 40 minutes.
Do you
or
ever
so
feel like when there is especially a film this length, when there is an intermission, when you resume, it feels like a second movie, like a different story almost?
Well, we had a comment. about that, the intermission, what that represents for the theatre-going audience in India. It's a chance to stop, have some refreshments, discuss what they've seen, and then they're re-energised for the second part of the movie. Yeah. Which is just explaining every fucking intermission in the history of intermissions, John. Doesn't matter whether it's in India or any other part of the world. An intermission's an intermission.
It's its purpose.
That's its purpose. It's to have a break.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean though. Yeah.
But it almost, for these kind of films where it is nigh on 3 hours long, I think
especially
that's really,
drama,
I think that's quite important. And you've seen it certainly, the Tiger movies as well, intermissions. And it just re-energises. So, I mean, look, we didn't get the luxury of an intermission, but certainly I didn't think it, it didn't feel like it was a 3.5, 4 hour epic and it was dragging along. I mean, there was times where it did just feel a little bit slow, but in the main, I thought the pacing was okay. Just getting back to Pawan though, because I think I spoke about Shahida, how it's almost through her perspective. It is, in a sense, the story, but you just can't have a 7-year-old actress leading the movie. It's not possible. So as I did allude to earlier, Salman Khan is the sort of guy who has everything saddled on him, and that's not to do down the likes of Sharat Saxena and Kareena Kapoor.
He has to carry the story. That's the
they're big actors. We do spend about 15-20 minutes of the movie looking at Salman Khan and Kareena Kapoor's characters, Rasika and Pawan sort of blossoming romance, and then you get to see the effects, and that's one of the things I love about this story, in the main, and just the characters. The effects both have on each other. Shahida is selfless, Pawan is quite selfless, and they have positive impacts on the family, if you like, and they change each other for the better. He opens her eyes up, and maybe not so much because she's kind of doing that all the time when he does things. She's almost like more mature than him. She's like, just shut up, stop speaking, you're too honest. She's doing all that. But she has a really positive impact on the characters, has a positive impact on even Dayanand, the father, the grandfather, whatever he is. Because he's quite bigoted at the start, and in the middle of the movie, he's very anti-Pakistan. Just get her back, she's the enemy. And I feel by the end of the movie, that little girl's had a positive impact. So I like the way that they bounced off each other, but in the main, I really like the way that Salman Khan's character was introduced to the movie, acted throughout the movie, just the importance of that character. You're going on a learning curve, you're learning about this different culture, how they aren't the enemy, they're not this sort of it's scary monster hiding in the shadows. They've got a different religion.
As frustrating as the character may have seemed throughout the film in terms of his honesty, it's the way we should all be. We should all be honest as this character. But it pays off. It pays off in the end. You know, when the police are all contacting each other about this guy, the Indian spy, as they called him, his story checks out because they stayed true to his word. They stayed honest throughout the film.
And that goes back to what you said, Anumeha.
And also in other movies, when we see in Bollywood movies how Pakistan is portrayed and how the characters are portrayed is mostly in a negative role. But in this movie, there are characters which are shown in a very positive and very impactful role, like Nawazuddin Siddiqui's, who is a news reporter, and he is the person who actually brings out the story of Salman Khan in front of the public, and like he is not a spy, and then how he actually gets out of the situation. So and also the Maulana, when he says I think there's a scene where Salman Khan says, oh, she's in Kashmir, but Kashmir is in India, and the Maulana, he says oh, thoda sa Kashmir hamare paas bhi hai, which is like we have a little bit of Kashmir too. So there's a Kashmir which is in India and in Pakistan. So it's also bringing out the message that we should be aware of Kashmir is not only ours, but is also some part which belongs to them. So it is where Pakistan, I believe, is also shown in a positive form as compared to other Bollywood movies.
Is that something?
We just majorly show that there are terrorists and everything, but here they kind of show it in a positive light.
And obviously we've seen that time and again in the Tiger movies with him and Zoya. Is that something that he's done throughout his career? Also, you'll maybe know more than us about Salman Khan. Just try to present the sort of geopolitical situation between Pakistan and India. Is that something he's tried to hammer home a lot in his movies? Because that seems to be 4 movies we've seen now. And understand that the whole story of Tiger is 2 people from opposing intelligence agencies who are on the run, and then they're working together. That's the whole point of the story. But he seems to be quite forthright in hammering home this sort of message of peace and prosperity between Pakistan and India. Is that something we've seen in a lot of his movies? Or is this just the ones we've watched, it's been, I don't know, I can't think of the word, a coincidence? I don't know. Have we seen a lot of that in his movies? Maybe you know. I don't know how many Salman Khan movies you've watched.
Yeah, mostly Indian Pakistan-based movies. I think he likes it is. I think his father is an Afghan, which if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
His mother is from India, but his father is actually in Afghanistan, like Pashtun guy. If I'm not wrong.
So maybe that's why then. Maybe that's why he's trying to. Yeah, he's trying to. I don't know, change the public perception on different countries that have maybe got a bad rep. Maybe that's what it is then. Because I just found it interesting that's a good few now.
It got separated in 1947.
Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah.
1947?
That's when the separation...
right. Yeah.
Britishers left India and separation.
Yeah. And drew their imaginary lines. Yeah, they're good at that. Yeah.
We have the same culture, we have the same food, just like here and bit difference maybe, yeah. But we are the same people who just got separated.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's such an important thing to convey in these movies, that look, you can dehumanise a group of people because they're over an imaginary line, and it's really important to just re-emphasise that they're human beings like us. They were born in a different place. That doesn't mean they're bad. So again, that's the key theme, I think, of this entire story. On a superficial level, it's about reuniting this young girl with her family. But on a bigger scale, a geopolitical scale, it's about hammering it on the head again. That, look, Pakistan's not this demonic state. They're just human beings like us. And I think that's a powerful thing to present. I don't know.
Yeah, human perspective. Like, we don't have to be like, just thinking about the religion and everything. It's mostly also about the humanity, which,
And we've seen that even over here with the whole religious stuff. I mean, we can't talk about anybody. Where there's religion, in different religions, there's usually conflict.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but that's just the way it is in life.
You have to try and take people at face value.
You do.
And individuals rather than collective.
And I think, again, that's the message that's conveyed in this movie. And using a 7-year-old girl, and some of the diatribe and stuff that was just said throughout by the likes of Diana, and she's the enemy, we'd get her out, I don't care how. It just shows you the bigotry and the sort of ignorance. And I think that's really clever.
It could show the manipulation of propaganda as well, though, John. I mean, perhaps maybe Diana has been brought up with the media telling them that, this is your enemy and hate them. You just don't know. You know what the media is like.
I mean, it's the same here. It's the same here to an extent. Not as maybe as violent.
Yeah, when we see, like, when a child is born, he doesn't know who's bad, who's good. That's pure innocence. But we are just taught in our journey of life, like, okay, this is bad, this religion, hate this, don't like this, something. Yeah. So and that's how innocent Salman Khan's the protagonist character is. He doesn't really differentiate. I mean, he initially differentiates, but then he eventually helps out the little girl, going out of his comfort zone and going out of his way. So that is definitely we need to learn.
And that goes back to why I think Pawan's such an important character in this story, if not the character in this story, and why it's such a brilliant performance from Salman Khan, because he brings Pawan to life magnificently. And he works alongside this young girl who does a brilliant job, but I can only imagine that working alongside a 7-year-old girl who's playing a mute character is a challenge. And I thought he'd done a stupendous job. The character was really, really important. Another character, though, that was very, very important in this story, near the end, was Chand Nawab. Nawazuddin Siddiqui comes in very late on. He's this sort of, I want to say intrepid, but I don't actually know what the full definition. I need to search it out and see if that's the right choice of word. But he's this sort of investigative journalist trying to get a scoop. Initially he says he's the spy on the run. He's trying to find him and hand him into the authorities. And then once he gets word in the sort of backstory of why this guy's here with this girl
on the bus,
he goes about trying to, I don't know, unravel the mystery, get this girl reunited with her parents, and then save Pawan from being incarcerated in Pakistan for Lord knows how long. And he's such a powerful and important character in the last act of this movie. And Nawazuddin Siddiqui, man, I just fucking love him. What can you say about
Nawazuddin?
Nawazuddin?
Comedy also when he comes in the movie where he just they're in the burqa, Salman Khan and Nawazuddin, and the Maulana hugs Salman Khan, and there's a guy passing on the motorcycle. He sees Maulana and he thinks, "Oh my God, what he's doing?" Because Maulana is like a priest, like he's like a church. You have a priest in the church, so he's like a pure character, and he sees a Maulana hugging the lady. So there's a bit of comedy also in those moments.
And that's something that's prevalent throughout this movie. A lot of comedic touches, a lot of light-hearted moments. The sort of burqa stuff, if that's what the name is, I'm pretty sure it is. I think that's what you said there. There's lots of little moments like that. This chicken thing and hugging into the Pakistan neighbour house and eating, and him taking her out and she keeps running back in. Yeah. There's lots of little moments sprinkled throughout this story.
The father slapping him every time he failed.
Yeah.
And then he flinched.
Zero.
That scene where he flinched was top comedy.
and gets slapped anyway. And then the father dies after he passes. He's that shocked.
Yeah.
There's lots of moments that really lightens, because this could be a really suffocating and heavy story. This little girl's on her own, she's trying to find her parents. It could be really dark, but I think they do a brilliant job of keeping it light and airy. There's lots of funny moments in there. But Chan Nawab, man, we first discovered him. Sacred Games, was it, Stephen?
Games, yeah.
Watched, obviously, Gangs of Wasseypur. I just love this guy.
John, I
He's
remember
just
we were
unbelievable.
watching Sacred Games. I don't think we really were familiar with his name at this point because it was our first introduction to him. But we were both talking about him after the watch along, going, "Who is this guy?
He's unreal.
He's we compared him to
Harvey Keitel
and
Al Pacino.
And Al Pacino, over in the West. You know, he just had this presence about him. And again, he comes into this film almost 3/4 of the way through, and you're so gripped to his character from the first scene right to the very last. And he's an important character as well, in terms of getting Pawan to his destination in a sensible way. But more importantly, he's the man that will uncover the truth about the character and tell the world about this character. He's not a spy. He's not a bad person. He's not up to mischief. He's doing a good deed. He's trying to return this daughter to their family, her family, and it's all through Chand. It's all, you had to have a character like that to really carry the story forward without it being bogged down with explanations and how do we get this main character out of this predicament. Chand is a man.
Chand's a man.
Yeah. So,
and Stephen, you alluded to
also
it.
it shows the positive side of media, where right now, if you see, especially Indian media, which I believe is mostly sold out, like they just doesn't show the problems happening in the country and everything. So how it shows also how powerful the media can be in terms of bringing out the justice and everything. So so that's what this character, like as Stephen mentioned, definitely he's a very strong. The director put him in a strong spotlight in the movie. Yeah.
And he delivers that monologue at the end, which is incredibly powerful. Unites two people at the border, and they see him off, and that really sets up the end of the film. And it's, I think you say you may have a slight issue with that, Stephen, but I liked the way that they slow-moed it.
Yeah.
And it was just him frozen in time with her, and he's holding her up. That was a pretty cool shot. I don't know how they did that, but on a technical level, that was unbelievable. But just briefly, before we talk about the end, you said, Stephen, in previous movies, I think it was Animal with Rashmika Mandanna, you could have cast anybody in that role.
Yeah.
Just a second-rate actress for sort of eye candy, which is we've seen done. And I don't like saying that.
Ali Abbat and
Ali Abbat and Triple R, underutilised, ridiculous levels. Brilliant actress, doesn't get used. One of the few disappointing things in that movie for me was the use of her. But Rashmika Mandanna, just for one scene alone, when she's acting alongside Ranbir Kapoor and they argue on the stairs, that's why you bring an actor like that in, just for a moment. Leo with Samantha, just for a moment alongside Talapathi. She's in and out the movie, but just moments where they showcase what they're all about. It's the same in this with Nawazud Siddiqui. He's powerful at the end of the story, but that monologue, you just get someone in like that to do that and deliver those lines. That's why he's in the film, and you see him delivering it at the end. He's just a stupendous actor. I absolutely love the guy. I want to watch more of his films.
Yeah,
you've never seen him in a bad film. I don't think I'll ever will either, because he's just superb. The ending though, what was my thoughts on the ending? It was all, I mean, I did like it. I liked her opening her mouth and speaking for the first time. It was kind of prophetic because they were speaking about taking her to some place in India. I think that's why they went over the border to try and speak, and it almost did happen at the end. But there was elements of the ending that were very Rocky 4. Is it Rocky 4?
Yeah.
With Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
Drago. You're ending the Cold War. It's all very, like, I don't know, David Hasselhoff bringing down the Berlin Wall. It's kind of, you're bringing these two people together and they're just, the guards are loading their weapons and letting them through. It's quite fanciful. But for the movie, it works.
It works, yeah.
It works for the movie. But if you were being cynical, you could take it apart. But I'm not cynical. So I liked it. I liked the message it conveyed.
Yeah.
And again, being selfless, humanity coming together in the face of sort of prejudicial views and separating people based on where they're born and their caste and all of this nonsense. Just fuck all of that. Come together as one and do the right thing. I thought that was an important message to convey. What was your thoughts on the ending of the film? I'll maybe go to you, Anumeha, and then we'll get Stephen's thoughts at the end. Stephen's a negative Norman with this one, I think. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. He liked the film. He liked the film.
Got affected by it, yeah.
Definitely, the ending of the movie is heartwarming. It is a very touching scene where she just utters the first word, Bhaijaan. As I mentioned earlier, I was trying hard not to cry because I'm too shy to cry in front of the camera. So yeah, it is.
I've been close a few times, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know how, I don't know if any of you have seen like social media clips when a toddler first puts on a hearing aid, or when the toddler puts on glasses for the first time and it can hear its mum for the first time. That's what it was like for Shahida when she spoke for the very first time. It was very lump in your throat. So in terms of the ending for me, that kind of saved it for me because I just felt, I get frustrated when a scene is kind of stretched out too long. And this was probably the only scene I felt was stretched out when Pawan would not turn round and she could not make a sound. I'm like, turn round. She wants to to see you one last time, and I just thought, don't end the film like this. Please turn round, and thankfully he did. That was my only gripe.
How did that river look though?
It looked freezing.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Looked very cold.
Yeah.
Very cold.
Would not like to be in it.
I wouldn't be in it.
Definitely.
Thoughts on the performances? What's your standout performance in this film? I mean, this is tricky because I think there's quite a few characters that are quite memorable. Kareena Kapoor, first time properly seeing her. I think you said she may have been in 3 Idiots, Stephen. I don't remember it.
I think she may have been. I can't
but again, that was the Amir Khan movie, wasn't it? It was Amir Khan, wasn't it? Yeah. Amir Khan show with a couple other.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, for me, Kareena Kapoor was great. Nawazuddin, as I said, I wax lyrical about him every time he's in a film.
Yeah.
But it's really, for me, standout performers between Salman Khan and Harshali Malhotra. As good as Harshali was, and she was brilliant for her age, precocious talent at this point, I think she's maybe older now. I have to go for Salman Khan. Again, I mean, acting alongside a young girl, barely uttering a word. He's doing a lot of heavy lifting. He's not scared to make himself look like an idiot at times in scenes. He'll do silly things that other actors wouldn't do. But he has moments as well where he's flexing his muscles and throwing people through walls and whatnot. He's an all-rounder. He's a great, charismatic guy. For me, he's a standout performer in the film. I don't know what your thoughts are, the two of yous. You can sort of take your pick when you want to go.
I'll be very short and sweet because I agree with you, John. Salman Khan for me. I mean, I was very intrigued when we picked this film earlier in the week to see another Salman Khan film that was not an action film as such. I know it kind of comes under action, adventure, comedy, drama, but when I compare it to Tiger 3, this is definitely not a Tiger, any Tiger film. It's not an action film. So I was intrigued to see the dramatical side of this actor because we saw hints of it in Ek to Tiger because I felt that was more drama driven. That first Tiger movie,
it was a romance,
and I thought he's pretty good at drama, but I want to see him in full drama, and he got to really show off all his range of emotions in this film, from comedy, as you said, from heartwarming moments, emotional moments. You know, he pulled it off in every scene. The dancing was fantastic as well.
Can do everything.
Yeah, so it's Salman Khan for me, short and sweet. Just like Salman Khan.
Vote for Salman Khan, and if you're a Salman Khan fan, then definitely go and watch the movie. If you haven't, I'm sure you have. If you are a fan, so yeah.
Yeah, is that your standout as well, Salman Khan? Don't know if you can hear me, Anumeha.
No, lost the sound.
Maybe not. Perhaps not.
Lost, yeah.
Shizzle.
Back again, yeah.
Was Salman your standout performer in the film? Or maybe I don't know if anybody else. Maybe it was Maya Ravish. I don't even remember her. That's the mother.
That was the mum, yeah. Yeah,
Barely in
I
it.
think Salman Khan's probably. I mean,
Yeah, Salman
this
Khan.
is a different film to Laapataa Ladies, where it was such a strong
Yeah.
cast in terms of the way they chose the actors for the characters, and every character in that film had a really large amount of responsibility. But I think in this one, everyone had important stuff to do in this film. I'm not underplaying anyone, but Salman Khan is about Salman Khan's journey and obviously returning the girl to her homeland.
Yeah, technical stuff, very brief, man. Editing was okay. Editing was fine for me. There is scenes in this I could have cut, so he's not getting a perfect score for me in terms of editing. It was fine, but it could have been slicker. I think you could have maybe shaved 15-20 minutes off this film quite easily. Cinematography I thought was pretty decent. There was some great shots in the film. Certainly the shot at the end, the freeze frame, I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know how they did it, but impressive. Probably just, I don't know how they did it, but it was cool. Music was okay. I'm trying to, the song and dance numbers were fine. I'm trying to pick out a memorable score.
I know how Anumeha feels about this.
It's a memorable soundtrack in there. Was there anything really
The soundtrack
grabbing?
was okay. I mean, it was moving more than anything. I felt the soundtrack, the score was quite
There's
emotional.
3 people involved in it though.
Yeah.
Is that necessary?
Yeah, the couple of
3
songs
people.
are pretty memorable, like Selfie Lele Rail and all that more songs. But I'm also like, not a big fan of songs, as I said, where there are like lead actor and actress dancing and there are background dancers. But yeah, I think those kind of songs where the plot is going behind the movie, behind the song, I think those kind of songs really are good as per my opinion. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. It's my opinion.
Listen,
It's all subjective.
You're never wrong.
Yeah.
Don't hate me
everything is subjective.
for not liking songs. I like songs, but not like just dancing on the songs.
No, I tell you what I
think
like the
nowadays
most.
cinema is changing. Yeah.
My
Like, if you
favourite
see-
ones are. Sorry, on you go.
Yeah, if you see like movies in the 90s, Bollywood movies, there were a lot of songs like that.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
can
I think
imagine.
nowadays they are reducing the songs to where the plot is running behind and the song is also playing.
That's
which
what
is-
I like it. I like it when they use the songs as a plot device to shorten
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Where they take a concept that would go for 40 minutes in a regular movie and they condense it into a 3, 4, 5 minute song. That's what I like, when they condense
Yeah.
something and tell a story through the song. I don't like it so much when you've got like a telepathy VJ, for instance, and all of a sudden he's a fucking dwarf or something like that, and he's dancing about in a toadstool land. That makes no sense to me. And then bang, you're back into the story. It's like, what was that? Was he on mushrooms? Was he on acid?
I felt that musical number that was in Egg to Tiger was like that. It was no part of the story.
Oh, but
in
it was
fact, they made the joke about, were you dancing there?
Yeah,
And
I
he's
like that, yeah.
No.
I
It's
quite
like-
like that,
but
no.
it was separate
Yeah.
though, wasn't it?
What were you doing? Were you dancing? He's like
no.
pointing about.
Yeah.
I wasn't dancing.
Yeah, but you
But,
were.
but it was separate, but they tied it to the story, and that was different. Whereas some of the telepathy, I mean, you can dance, but it's like,
It's in
parents-
there for just the
there's
sake of putting it in there.
there's
Yeah.
no resemblance to the story. What are we doing here? So yeah, I kind of agree. Final thoughts on the film, summing it up, rating out of 10. And then we shall be on our merry ways here. I think I went first last week, so I'm going to defer to. I'll give you the chance to rate the film. I think Anumeha went first, and then it was me.
Yeah.
Stephen,
Yeah,
I'll let
That's
you
I'll
go.
go first. It'll be very short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I thought it was intriguing from start to finish. The plot went from one scenario to the next. I felt the exposition was really well executed in the film as well. It could have dragged on and on and on and on and on and on. Tried to get these two strangers put together. One can't speak, the other one doesn't know where the other one's from, and it could have. I mean, how do you do that in a story without being clever? And they were very clever in the way they did it, the way they unfolded the Shahida character and where she was from and what her beliefs were, what her eating habits were, and that kind of thing. So it was very interesting. It had the comedy at the right moments, it had the drama at the right moments, and very much like yourselves, I was very caught up in the moment at the very end. You probably see it to watch along. My eyes start to water a little bit, but that's telling when it's something like that. John, I know when it happens to you because you kind of go blank. You kind of just stare.
I've never ever cried.
John's emotions shut down.
I'll tell you when I will cry if we do a dog film.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think that speaks more about me than it does about the film, though. When I cry at dogs dying, but I don't cry at something happening to a human being.
12 fail, John. You were close to it.
12 fail.
Yeah, when he passed. When he was on his knees, when he passed the test. I saw you in the mirror. We've got a mirror over
I actually
here,
think the closest I came to crying would have been Panchayat season 2 when Big Prahlad lost his son. That was powerful.
Yeah.
When he was not eating and Nate came round to be by his side and you seen him sitting in his lawn.
Seen another side to him, that's why.
That was sad. Yeah. Very, very sad. I came very close there because he was such a big, bubbly force of nature. Always helping other people out, try to get them out of funk. And to see him in that situation, again, that speaks to the writing in Panchayat.
Yeah.
Where you bond so closely to the characters. And when something happens, it's a sucker punch. Yeah. So, that's probably the closest. 96 as well was
96
tragic,
was very emotional.
Character.
But I felt the last 15 minutes of this film was very impactful in that sense. And John, you touched on it. You said that sometimes you just have to suspend reality and just go with the flow, and that's what I kind of get caught up in, and I kind of hated myself for it, but I'm not going to derate the film because of that. I had considerations doing it, but again, like I said last week, when I listened when I listened to yourself, John, when I listened to Anumeha as well, you play out scenes again in your head and you go, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's always good to have that kind of perspective from other people, and for me, it was really enjoyable. It was well worthwhile watching it, not once but twice, and but I liked it so much I watched it twice, folks. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm going to go a little bit higher than that. I'm going to go 8.7 out of 10. Wow. I really liked this.
I'll let you go, Anumeha, and then I'll finish.
The movie for me is, I think Kabir Khan has done a very fantastic job in terms of direction of the movie, the screenplay, the actors, the casting, as I said, like while watching the movie where he shows the valley in Pakistan, the mountain regions and the people like, Harshadi's or like Munni's family, where they actually look like they are from that region. So in terms of casting, I think they did a fantastic job, very detailed job, where they had to find people who actually have long noses and who actually look like they are from that part of Pakistan, like the mountain region. So I think the casting was amazing, the screenplay, the plot of the movie, how they stepped up, and acting and everything, it was good. So I think 8.7 I would match Stephen's rating.
Yeah, listen, I enjoyed the film. I liked the message it was trying to, obviously, I was going to say portray there, but that's not the right word. It was trying to, basically it was trying to convey. That's the word I'm looking for. I did say I'm 2 pints of rather strong German beer down, so I would potentially go off the cliff halfway through. We're near the end and I've not quite went off the cliff yet, so I'm doing pretty well. You're going to have to bear with me here. This could be a dangerous, slippery slope down into an abyss here as I go to the end of the video and have to round it up. I like the message they conveyed. It's important that you bring people together. I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and their message was always about love. What is it? What's the song again?
All You Need Is Love.
All You Need Is. There's another one though. The word is love. It doesn't matter. Fuck
the
it.
word.
The word.
Yeah,
But they say something about love, don't they?
Yeah.
That's the message we should be trying to convey in life. Love, unity, bringing people together, not hatred. Not sort of separation and compartmentalising people because of their ethnicity, where they were born, their religion, yada yada. Unity is an important thing to convey, and they do that in this film, and they do it via a very young actress in Salman Khan, and a great ensemble cast. It's got great moments of levity in there, comedy. I thought it was well directed, well acted. Technically it was okay. I wouldn't say it was outstanding, but it was okay. I liked the movie. I liked the ending. There was moments that could have been taken out, but ultimately, I think it's a very, very good movie. And I'm not going to keep speaking here in case I do go off a cliff, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. A little bit lower than yours, but I'm going to go with an 8.3 out of 10. Because I just like to be contrary.
And you've got the editing to do.
I've got the editing to do, so it may get back down again. Depending. Though I says I'd separate the editing. in the reaction from the actual film itself. 8.3 out of 10 for me. Very good film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Again, Salman, my son, they says that Tiger 3 was the worst of the lot. I enjoyed Tiger 3. I've not seen Salman Khan in a bad film yet. I really enjoy the guy.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, people have said he's a fantastic man behind the camera as well. Does a lot of important things. I digress. What's your thoughts on the film Bajrangi Bhaijaan? I'm waffling here. What was your thoughts on the story, on the acting, on everything? What would you rate it out of 10? Share your thoughts down below in the comments section if you've got anything to say at all. That's the place to put it. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to one's eyes for future content like this. All that's left to be said though is until next time. Thank you once again for watching this. And bye-bye.